Do you think a far lefty can win a national election in this day and age? A presidential election. Do you think that could happen?
A far left, you mean like AOC?
Yes. I'm just whether it's what you said about Newsom, whether it's an AOC. I mean, do you think somebody like that can win a general election for the presidency of the United States in this day and age? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
On Stephen A. Smith's show, Bill Maher came in with full energy and didn't hold back. He went off on the woke crowd, Hollywood and the Democrats, calling them out for living in their own little bubble instead of facing what's really happening in the real world.
The Democratic Party is a ghost brand. You know what a ghost brand is? It's like Sears or, General Electric. It's still a company, Abercrombie and Fitch, but they've really fallen on hard times.
Yeah.
But they've been around for a long time. So there is value in, it's an asset, right? Because there are still people who know of the company, and if you could have somebody take it over, who's not sentimental about that company and, relaunch it, rebrand it. But it would have to be somebody who is unapologetic about calling them out. People have lost faith in the Democratic Party for very good reasons.
With strong words, he slammed the DNC for what he sees as major flaws in their attempt to win back the White House. The outspoken comedian didn't hold anything back as he delivered his harsh criticism. Here's how it all unfolded.
Right now, I got to get to my next guest. Oh, he's an actor, a comedian, a producer, a writer, and host of the hit HBO political talk show, Real Time with Bill Maher. The one and only Bill Maher is with me right now. What's going on, Big Time? How are you, sir? How's everything?
I'm not an actor.
Well,
Don't ever call me an actor.
I apologize.
I'm the opposite of an actor, like you. Actors are avoiding the truth and playing parts. We're real and telling what's real.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate I correct myself. Thank you for the reminder.
Bill Maher begins by calling out Hollywood, blasting the entertainment elites for ignoring real issues and pretending everything's fine. Then he turns his attention to politicians, accusing them of acting more like entertainers than real leaders. He criticizes them for not being honest with the American people about what's truly going on. Maher makes it clear he's not holding back or sugarcoating anything, and no one is safe from his words. The impact hits even harder once it becomes clear which political party he's targeting. But before revealing that, Stephen A. Smith asked him about Jimmy Kimmel's return to late-night TV, and Maher definitely had a lot to say about that.
He insulted MAGA. That's different. And he didn't lie. He said what he thought was true, which I disagreed with. I mean, I gave my spiel about it on the show last week, and, it was basically saying something very different than what Jimmy said. I don't think he got it right. I think he's, quite frankly, in his liberal bubble, which is why, let's be real, those shows are struggling, is because they, I think, arrogantly dismiss half the country. They don't speak to them, let alone for them.
This is exactly why Bill Maher upsets so many people. Unlike most other late-night hosts, he's not scared to criticize his own side. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel and his liberal friends stay comfortable in their own bubble, surrounded by people who agree with everything they say. Almost all of their guests are strong liberals repeating the same talking points, while conservatives are either completely left out or replaced with safe Republicans who won't cause any drama. Their shows are losing cultural impact because they've shut out half the audience. By silencing the voices that could bring realness and surprise, they've lost the spark that once made late-night TV exciting.
That's a problem. And in the liberal bubble, it had to be someone who was also MAGA, who shot a MAGA guy. My piece was just about how you can't even try to make sense politically of a lot of these people who commit these political atrocities, because they're just crazy. And it's I wish it was politics. That would make it a lot easier. It's actually nihilism. They don't believe in anything.
Maher makes his point clear by revealing what many liberals truly think. To them, conservatives are seen as backward, uneducated, and lacking respect for human life. They paint MAGA supporters as blind followers who have no common sense, can't be reasoned with, and shouldn't be trusted in any serious discussion. That's the arrogant stereotype they just won't let go of. So when Jimmy Kimmel quickly blamed the attacker by calling him a MAGA supporter, it wasn't based on facts or proof. It was just another attempt to push the liberal narrative that conservatives are dangerous, unreasonable, and always at fault. Maher didn't hesitate to call out this hypocrisy with sharp honesty.
They're all over the map politically. They just want you to hurt like I do. And that's where that was. Jimmy had a different take. He's allowed to have a different take. He's allowed to be wrong. So, you know, some of this stuff gets put out there and then it becomes like the narrative. He lied. He didn't lie. His take was just wrong, in my view. And he didn't insult the person that they were worried about getting insulted. And on that score, yes, I mean, I've been always clear about what I think about it. There's no quarter for people who forgive any kind of political violence. Once you start with, yeah, but you know, what he said was terrible. I don't care, irrelevant if you think whatever you think of it. We don't shoot each other in this country.
Maher strongly defends one of his core beliefs, freedom of speech. He's very clear that no one should be silenced, canceled, or erased just for having a different opinion. He reminds everyone that America was built on open debate, free thinking, and the ability to challenge one another without fear. Instead of attacking or canceling people for disagreeing, he says we should sit down, talk it out, argue respectfully, and respond with facts, logic, and common sense. Maher warns that democracy thrives on the clash of different ideas, not on everyone thinking the same way. If we lose that freedom to disagree, he says, we lose the very spirit of America itself.
How did you feel about Trump's reaction to Jimmy Kimmel being pulled off the air? And his reaction, I mean, when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, the first words that came out of Trump's mouth is that it was the left. And obviously, when Jimmy Kimmel said what he said, Trump wanted him pulled off the air, even though it was the FCC chairman that really went about the business of making threats along those lines. What were your thoughts about all of that?
Trump isn't pretending or putting on an act. He comes across as completely genuine. There's no mask, no hidden plan, and no fake performance meant to trick people. What you see is exactly what you get. That realness is what drives the strong loyalty of his supporters, who appreciate that he doesn't try to please politicians in Washington or the big names in Hollywood.
Unsurprised? I mean, come on, Donald Trump's been on the stage a long time. You always know he's going to go 100 miles an hour in that direction. You know, he is an actor who commits to the part. Man, does he talk about actors, as long as we're on that.
In contrast, the left promotes career politicians and media favorites who thrive on fake performances, staged moments, and empty promises. They stick to rehearsed lines just to get applause, but rarely have the courage to stand up for the truth. Maher's point hits hard. Trump may have his flaws, but at least he's real. And in today's political circus, that kind of honesty is rare. The ironic twist is that now it's the left loudly claiming to defend free speech.
I will ask you this. When you look at Trump and some of the things that he says, what are you more concerned about in this day and age, Bill? Is it how the right feeds off of what he says, or is it how the left reacts to what he says? What has you more concerned at this particular moment in time as we just purview the landscape, look at our country and the state of affairs that's going on around here?
Let's be honest. The only reason they're suddenly talking about free speech is because they're no longer in power and can't control the story anymore. When they were in charge, shutting people down, censoring opposing views, and killing debate didn't seem to bother them at all. Now they're scared that the same tactics they once used might be turned against them.
Well, I love it that you always, like what you were just saying before I came on about free speech, and you said, well, you know, let's be honest, the left sort of courted this a little bit because they weren't exactly champions of free speech. So you always have to look at that. I mean, I know that the woke people don't like it that I do that.
They heavily relied on social media platforms to erase stories and opinions that didn't fit their agenda, calling uncomfortable truths misinformation just to hide them. Cancel culture became their favorite weapon, used to attack writers, comedians, journalists, and even regular people who dared to question their beliefs. But now that the power has shifted, they've suddenly rediscovered their so-called love for free speech. The hypocrisy couldn't be more obvious.
They've really fallen on hard times.
Yeah.
But they've been around for a long time. So there is value in, it's an asset. right? If you could have somebody take it over, relaunch it, rebrand it, but it would have to be somebody who is unapologetic about calling them out. People have lost faith in the Democratic Party for very good reasons. You're the only one I hear who doesn't look like he cares what the other Democrats will say about it.
I don't care.
And,
I really don't.
Right,
I
know.
I don't give a damn what they say. I really don't.
I know.
Bill is absolutely right. The Democratic Party has turned into a shadow of what it once was. On the surface, it still tries to look active and alive, but inside it's empty and lacking real purpose. There's nothing exciting or inspiring left to motivate people. There's no strong leader to unite them, no powerful message that connects with ordinary Americans, and no new ideas that truly matter. Instead, the party keeps repeating old slogans and sticking to a failed strategy. What's left doesn't feel like a real movement anymore. It's more like a lifeless machine barely hanging on. Even its biggest names can't bring energy or clear direction. Maher's warning hits hard. If the Democrats don't wake up from this zombie-like state soon, they're not just risking irrelevance. They're heading straight toward political extinction.
You also have faith in California Governor Gavin Newsom, did you not?
I'd love him as a candidate. Yes, I mean, you're right. He's not exactly what I'm describing now.
Right.
I think he'd be a great candidate. He has shown in recent months the ability also to move to the center. He would have to do it a lot more. But as a candidate, he looks great. Great speaker, very forceful, can be mean, which is really important, and he can do it. He also has the backing, or certainly should, of where the energy is in the Democratic Party, the far left, because, he's been out front on a lot of very liberal issues.
Here's where Maher shows a bit of inconsistency, though it's understandable. Everyone has some bias, and his is clear. Gavin Newsom. Maher openly praises the California governor, defends him, and even roots for him. But when it comes to supporting Newsom as a presidential candidate right now, Maher hesitates, and that hesitation says a lot. Newsom isn't just another Democrat. He's deeply connected to the same system that's been holding the DNC back. His record in California, with rising homelessness, higher taxes, and businesses leaving the state, makes his reputation look more tarnished than shiny. So even one of Newsom's biggest fans can't fully convince himself that Newsom is the one to save the struggling Democratic Party. Not yet, anyway. And if Maher himself isn't convinced, why would anyone else be?
He went too far left for me often, but it is encouraging to see that in at least 3 places I can think of, he has moved it back to the center, but he's got a long way to go if he wants to do that.
Do you think a far lefty can win a national election in this day and age? A presidential election? Do you think that could happen?
Far left, you mean like AOC?
Yes. I'm just whether it's what you said about Newsom, whether it's an AOC. I mean, do you think somebody like that can win a general election for the presidency of the United States in this day and age? I don't think so.
AOC and Zoran Mandani might excite a lot of Gen Z voters, but to many Americans, they come across as loud voices promoting big, unrealistic ideas instead of real, workable solutions. They're great at getting attention on social media and making headlines, but that kind of popularity doesn't necessarily turn into real political power when it's time to vote.
I don't think so either. I mean, that's, anything is possible, and possibly it would excite a certain group of people who have not voted. And I mean, what if 80% of Gen Z voted? Could then a Mandami-like candidate win? I guess so, but I'm not expecting that to happen, and I don't think it's the smart bet for the Democrats.
Maher is absolutely right about this. The far left might be loud and popular within its own groups, but it doesn't have what it takes to win national elections for the Democrats. Being popular online isn't the same as being electable. Recent elections have made it clear that trending on social media doesn't get you anywhere near the White House. What really wins is a realistic, balanced message that connects with a wide range of people, and that's exactly what the far left is still lacking.
An article in the Atlantic this week about Democratic leadership keeps saying the Democrats should change course away from the far left, but they're not doing it. They should all read that article.
And to me, if they're not doing it, they're not paying attention to what's going to win. They just want to vent. I'm listening to Jasmine Crockett. I'm like, that verbiage ain't going to work. AOC could win the Senate seat and take it from Chuck Schumer in New York City, but that's not going to win a general election. Zohran Mamdani might win the mayor's seat in New York City, and Trump and his acolytes may be scared to death that it's going to permeate throughout the country because of what happened in Minnesota, what's happening in New York City, what potentially could happen in California. But that's not the entire country. So for me, I'm very, very worried about the left because you should be focusing on trying to win the midterms, and I don't see that happening.